Welcome to another episode of The Couch Coach. You're about to watch a real one-on-one coaching call with me and an Ivy industry member, which is part of our efforts to help flippers unlock their flipping potential. Ivy Industry blends a weekly mastermind with personalized sessions like this so that flippers can get the tailored guidance they need to reach the next level. If you're curious or interested, just click on the Ivy Industry link below and start your application today. I'll see you on the other side. What can I help you with?
Yeah, so I was just I just wanted because since you speak with a lot of the other flippers, I was wondering how they kind of like ran their systems in a way of keeping track of their inventories when they bring it in, what their process is to kind of basically record the inventory and what their process is when they sell and how they pretty much do that, because I'm trying to basically start doing that. And I just kind of wanted to. I'm sure I could figure it out on my own, but if I could get an idea of how people actually started and are doing it efficiently, then I would like those ideas.
Yeah, let me reframe the question a bit. What problem are you trying to solve?
So right now I'm not recording anything.
Mm-hmm.
Inventory, I'm not recording it. Everything is being tracked on like when I bring it in, it's being tracked on post-it notes, which is really inefficient, and it doesn't get recorded anywhere. And then so I'm kind of at the point where I got most of the business stuff squared away, and I'm just trying to work on how I could record inventory and keep track of numbers efficiently.
Got it. Okay, so and for context, for because this is getting recorded and it's going to be shared. So, and I do this with like all my one-on-one coaching sessions now. So you started out February, and you've already moved into a warehouse.
Yes.
And I think you said you were doing around $5,000 a week in just a period of like 3 months. So you've grown incredibly.
Yes. Yeah.
And recently you came on, you started using Ivlip. How's the sourcing app been working for you, by the way?
Yo, it's amazing. Like, I was actually gonna ask if you are allowing investors, because I would love to invest whatever extra funds I have. But no, it's a total game changer. I didn't think I needed it at first, and yeah, I didn't think I needed it because I was always on Marketplace anyway, and I was able to find deals, and I was always able to keep. I have a 2,000 square foot warehouse, and I was always able to keep it full.
Full, yeah.
But when I started using Ivlip, it was a total game changer. Like, I didn't need to be on Marketplace all the time anymore. Like, I'll get notifications that pops up and I could preview it real quick on my phone, so I don't even need to open the app or anything. And then if you know, it takes half a second for me to make a decision if it's a good or not.
Mm-hmm.
And then so it's a huge time saver. I don't have to spend a ton of time on Marketplace anymore. Getting the deals first, I wouldn't. There's been times where I wouldn't been able to get the deals that I got because of Ivlip, because I would be in the middle of cleaning or something and I wouldn't check, but then the notification would ding, and I'll take a quick second to look, and I'm like, oh shit, I need to get this.
You got to jump on that, yeah.
Yeah, and then so I'll stop everything I'm doing. I'll send them a message, and then I'll be able to get to it. And then so, I mean, $300 a month. At first, it seems a lot, but the kind of deals that you're able to swoop up, it pays for it like over 10 times, over like 1,000 times a month, pretty much is what I see. And it's a huge time saver as well, especially like running a lot of flippers, they run the business themselves or they have another partner, and so it's hard to, you know, divide your time up efficiently. And so Ivlip helps a ton with that. And then I haven't used the listing tool or the sales tracking yet.
Yeah.
And I'm still trying to get around to testing those features out. But this is kind of the reason why I wanted to meet with you, is see what the other flippers are doing and how they're kind of using it efficiently.
Absolutely.
And what their processes are.
Yeah, super glad you're already getting leverage out of the sourcing app. And, you know, I've heard this from flippers before. It's like, you know, I'm on Marketplace all day. Why do I need the sourcing app? And you were keeping your warehouse full, but now you're keeping your warehouse full of better deals.
Yeah, exactly. And now
Yeah.
I'm able to be more picky
Mhm.
because at first, what I didn't understand was there was like I've seen the other podcasts and people would like complain about, oh, they don't want to drive this amount of distance for to make a couple $100. But
Mhm.
me, I was like, I want to get every single deal I can, regardless of the
Mhm.
distance. Like if I
Mhm.
know I can make a profit, then I'm going after it. And then I would drive up to an hour away just for one sectional or one couch if I know I can
Mhm.
make $300 on it, on net, of course. And then, so I would do that. And then now, especially with Ivy and the warehouse always being full, um, I could I pick and choose. And now I do kind of think about distance because a lot of other factors start to come into play of like, oh, how long is this couch going to sit? How quickly can I sell it? How much cleaning does it need? And all of these factors start to come into play now that the warehouse is always full. Now I have Ivlip and I'm able to kind of pick and choose deals and things like that. So
Yeah. No, I mean, sure, your story is like so cool. You used to be a software engineer, Best Buy, turned full-time couch flipper, scaling to basically a six-figure business within 3 months. Not a lot of people do that. And, having your background and being very hardworking, clearly, to get to the point that you're at, um, it's a real testament to the opportunity that is here for people that are willing to apply themselves and get the work done. And I think the thing that you've done really, really well is just getting busy, right? Like I have so many people like flippers I've talked to, they just get stuck somewhere along the way. Oh, I like there's no, I have all my couches listed, or there aren't any good deals around me. And then what you're doing is the exact right thing. If I have to drive an hour to get a couch, but I'm doing nothing, if I don't get that couch, like I'm going to drive that hour. And now you're at a point where you have real opportunity cost, right? Where it's like, I only have so many hours in the week and I'm already working at peak capacity. And so if I have to drive 30 minutes versus 60 minutes, like I'd prefer to drive the 30 minutes. But first, in order for that decision to be relevant, you have to get to a point where you're busy enough for it to matter, right? So,
yeah,
yeah.
and I'm at a point now where I'm looking to hire like cleaners and drivers and things like that because I want to be able to focus on creating these processes within the business because I do my goal, or I guess I don't see this as being a small side hustle for me. I see it as being a multi-million dollar business for me.
Mm-hmm.
And then
Mm-hmm.
so I'm at a point now where um I'm trying to build processes and systems for the business, and I'm also trying to look into marketing and advertisement and things like that. But then it's so hard for me to be able to do that when I'm focused on everything else. And then so I'm like thinking of or I'm for sure gonna hire cleaners and drivers. And then at first I was like, oh, I don't want to split up my profit. I don't want to have to like divide my profits up or do this. But then I'm thinking like, where's my time most valuable? Like where is it most value? Where is it spent most valuably?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And then and then so I was like, yeah, if I could pay somebody even $20 an hour to clean because that's not a super difficult task to do, then I could focus. That time would be spent focusing on marketing, like me marketing and creating advertisements and things like that, which will generate more sales. And then it's the same thing with like deliveries and pickups because I was really a s- I don't know. I wouldn't say stingy, but frugal in a way or I want to make the most amount of profit. So I'm like,
Right.
I have different delivery options, and if somebody chooses a more expensive delivery option, I'm like, I want to take that delivery
Yeah.
because I want the money. But then now I'm like, well, my time is better spent trying to focus on scaling the business versus delivering a couch and making $200 or $90.
Absolutely. Nail on the head. Nail on the head. That once again, another point where, and look, you're figuring out in the period of 3 months what has taken some flippers 3 to 4 years to learn. And like, I think in part your success is built on the back of other flippers, right? Because you got to accelerate way past what other people were doing because you got to learn from their mistakes. And this is another place where people get stuck. It's just they're so focused on the operations of the business. They're like, I want to squeeze every dime of profit out of what I'm doing, that they forget about the big picture. And the big picture is you don't need to be doing the deliveries. You don't need to be doing the cleaning. That is the lowest value use of your time, probably in terms of what you could be doing for the flipping business. The highest value use of your time, highest leverage on your time is where do I find couches? How do I sell couches? Sourcing, selling. And that's really, you don't see the McDonald's CEO at the cash register, right? He's thinking about strategy. So yeah, these are all on point. And I guess the next step in your journey is just cleaning up the operations. And I think the piece of this here is today you do majority of the operations yourself. And so as you think about elucidating structure, it's actually not as much about keeping yourself organized because I don't know, you're maybe flipping 30 couches a month right now, if I had to guess.
Sure. I haven't been keeping track. So.
I see. Okay. Something that if you're doing around 20 grand, right? I would say you're most likely in the neighborhood of 25 to 30 couches, just averages, right? But maybe in the hecticness, like in how like hectic your day to day is, you are finding yourself dropping the ball on things. Is that the case?
Yeah.
But more or less, when you like bring in a couch, you probably know what needs to be done to that couch, right? The problem is really going to happen when you try to scale. When you try to bring someone else into your operation, you're thinking about hiring. How do you give them clear and concrete instructions day in, day out so that when they come into work, they know exactly what they need to be doing, and that it's not, frying your brain trying to keep on top of all the different moving parts. And the more employees you add into the mix, the more complex it's going to be. The more couches you add into the mix, the more complex it's going to be as well. So first and foremost, I recommend that you use a sales tracker, right? It's integrated into the app. It's integrated into, we have a web-based application as well. The databases between the two are integrated. So if you update the app, it updates the web, vice versa. It has an option for you to add things as inventory with a note. So when you buy something, you add it to the sales tracker, and then you can add a note about what needs to be done to that item to complete processing. And then once it's sold, you add the sale date and the sale price, and then it'll generate a full P&L for you.
Okay.
It'll show you things like your average sale price, how many flips you're making a month, your turnover rate, your gross margin, your net margin. It does all the computation for you. There's also a section where you can enter your expenses. So like your fixed costs, right? Not your cost of goods, like your overhead, subscription fees, your rent, your utilities, your cleaning supplies, etc. And that goes into building out your full P&L. So that's like the simple solution is that we have like technology that has been built for this explicit purpose. But people have different methods of doing it. So I'll recommend what I think is the best practice, which is we have built tech to support it. But I know some people
to upload photos as
yes.
well. Okay.
Yeah. So actually, we had a much more robust system for like managing the workflow of a flipping business. We called it our intake system. We deprecated it. It's because no one was using it. I think it was maybe a little bit too complex in some ways, because there's a way of running your business that's very OCD and you're keeping track of everything, but that ends up being overhead because unless there's a high degree of complexity, it's more organized, but it's not necessarily making you more money, and it takes time for you to fill out these steps, right? And so the idea was you could create an intake, you could fully customize the intake based on whatever information is relevant to you. So it could be how many pieces, I bought this couch, how many pieces is it, what color, what style, what's the brand, what's the retail price, and then what work needs to be done to the couch. And these are customizable fields. So I need to fix the leg, I need to sew this button, I need to repair this stitch, I need to vacuum it, I need to lint roll it, whatever. And so every time you bought a couch, you had this custom intake, design the form however you like, and then you could add whatever steps are required to process the couch and get it ready for sale. And then, when your workers, or even if you're trying to remember what to do with the couch, you can just go to that item on the website or on your phone, and it just gives you a list of things that needs to be done so you can process the couch. When we were we did a little bit of flipping ourselves, and we used it internally, and we found it useful. I launched it to our audience of flippers, and basically there was no adoption, and so we just stopped supporting it. It still exists though, and I think the cool thing now is that we have the opportunity to integrate AI into the product. So it would be easier to use, right? So like you could upload some photos, you could just, instead of having to fill out the form like line by line, you could kind of just like spew your thoughts into a text field, and then it would slot all of those into the form for you. So maybe there's a conversation there where we revisit bringing back this operational system, and you beta test it for us. I think we're maybe like a month. We like, based on our current roadmap, we'd probably need like a month to visit this idea together. But like, even if like you don't use our intake system or the operations system that we've built, and you want to do something similar, you could do exactly that, and you just do it on a spreadsheet.
Yes, see, like my idea behind things was, since I want to scale it, I have to keep things as simple as possible. And then so, I mean, I think what you mentioned was is a great idea. But then so my idea behind this was, I don't know why I'm think going back to old school stuff, but I have this table that I brought in. So it sits right at the entrance of where I bring in inventory. So my idea was, I'm gonna have like a bunch of like printed out a list of notes, and so it's gonna be, since I'm gonna hire people to source and things like that as well, it's gonna be like a name, a date of when it comes in, like the couch color, and then items that needs to be done. So every single couch I get in, automatically it gets vacuumed for sure and extracted for sure, regardless of the condition. And then there'll be like special notes on what kind of repairs needs to be done. And then so I was gonna pin that piece of note onto the couch, and then so when the cleaners come in, they could just see it, and then they could pull the note and then know what to do, and then do those things. And then like, let's say once they vacuum, they could check it off. And then let's say if they needed to stop for something in the middle of doing something, they could just check off that they vacuumed it, and then if somebody else comes in and wants to clean, then they could like just take that note and see that, oh, it's been vacuumed, we can extract, or we need to repair zippers or whatever. So that was kind of my idea behind it. I feel like it's really simple, but then I do think the tech stuff is more efficient, but it might be more complex for, I guess, other people. Is what is my concern.
So the overhead in using the technology really is on the administrator. So it's the person who's doing the intake. They need to go fill out the initial form, and they need to go do an inspection and specify the steps of what needs to be done. And like, if you're doing it yourself, you kind of know like, this is what I need to do, and maybe you don't need an app you don't need to fill out a form in our app to make that happen. But once the intake has been created, right, then whoever the worker is, all they're seeing is a checklist. And as they're moving through so it's the same thing, whether it's on an app or an iPad or it's on a Post-it note. It's just a checklist in terms of what they see. But it's that initial generation step, right, deciding what goes on that checklist where there's some overhead. And I really have no preference, right? Like, maybe we try something with technology, and that's useful, or use Post-its. I think better than Post-its probably a whiteboard, because I think the problem with Post-its is they get lost, they get damaged and stuff like that. And with the and like, they're on each individual item, whereas with like a big whiteboard, and they have like whiteboard wallpaper too, that you can like you can canvas an entire wall of your storage unit, and you could put like all of your inventory and you can assign them. You can call it SKUs, and create the SKUs based on what the brand is, the dimensions, and the color. So some like unique attributes about the product can be used to create the SKUs. So you can kind of keep track of what everything is. And then so I think I would prefer a big whiteboard, right, as opposed to post. And everyone, no matter where you're at in the warehouse, you can kind of look at the whiteboard and understand what needs to be done.
Okay.
So it's
Yeah, I
like
think
you
I
have
might
your
try both.
yeah.
Like, once you get that system, if you do get it up and running again, I'll probably test it out. Because right
Mhm.
now I have a stepdaughter. She's 17 years old, and then she's graduating high school in a couple
Mhm.
weeks. And then
Mhm.
she's been kind of helping me with the business. And
Mhm.
then the funny thing is that she wanted to go to college for business.
Business, yeah,
And then I was like, why don't you just come run the business with me? Take a gap year,
yeah,
come work the business with me. I'll teach you everything I know. We can learn this stuff together, and then
yeah.
she was like, okay, she'll do it. And then, so I've been kind of like testing things with her, and we've been kind of like we have this. I'm a veteran, so we have this thing in the military called AAR. It's
Mhm.
after action report, and then so every week on Sunday night, we'll go through this AAR about the week, and then find improvements, find what we did good, find what we can or basically find what we can improve on and what we did good.
Mhm.
And then so yeah, I've been testing things with her a lot, and then I have noticed that I gotta try to keep things as simple as possible because even with her, sometimes when I explain it to her or I tell her to do certain things, she's a 17-year-old kid, so of course she's not gonna
Yeah.
do it perfectly, but then communication will get lost. And so
Mhm.
I'm just thinking like if I have like 10 employees, and then if even if it's just me and her right now and things are already like communication's already a mess, then imagine when I have 10 employees, it's going to be even worse.
Mhm.
So right now we're just trying to work on things and get things to, I guess, be as simple as possible.
Yeah.
And then so I do like that idea though of the bringing the tech involved, because now I'm thinking I could have just an iPad or something at the front and take inventory that way, and then whenever they come in, they could check the iPad and then go through and see what needs to be done, which couch needs to be cleaned, and things like that.
Mhm.
So that's actually a really good, because it's right what you said. Post-it notes, they do get lost. They fall off the couch, go on the floor, and then you're just like,
Mhm.
all right, where does this one go now?
Yeah, use a spreadsheet, use the whiteboard, and the important thing is there are two things here, right? It's like you're trying to record information about the couch, and then being able to crunch that data later is going to be valuable for you.
Hmm.
What are my most popular styles? What colors? What price point? And then all of your sale metrics, of course, and then there's the operations component of it, right? So the sale metrics probably need to be done separately somewhere. I recommend the sales tracker. Enter your transactions. It'll help you keep track of inventory at a basic level, and then track all of your expenses. At the end of the year, when it's come to file taxes, you can export all of your expenses, hand it to your bookkeeper. And so it's not like a comprehensive accounting system because it doesn't integrate with your bank account and integrate with your credit cards and stuff like that. But it's like it's a manual bookkeeping system. And if you're not doing that today, you don't know how many sales you made last week, for the week before, or how many couches you bought.
Yeah.
That'll solve the problem. And then in terms of then it's just the operations piece, right? And I think that's pretty simple. It's like every time you bring in a couch, you go through, you do the inspection, you do the audit, you decide on what steps are necessary, and you add it. You have a column. It says needs to be processed, and then another column processing, and then another column staged, and it's done processing, it's ready for listing, and then listed is the final state, right?
Hmm.
So so it's like 3-4 columns, and as the thing is getting ready, you just wipe it off and you move it to the next. Or here's the thing: instead of putting the post-it on the couch, put it on the whiteboard, right? And then you can move it without having to erase and then do it all over again.
Yeah, the only issue with that is like I just I just worry that people are gonna confuse the description with a different couch or something like that, because that's happened with my stepdaughter before as
Hmm.
well. When I was
Hmm.
like, customer is coming in for this couch,
Mm-hmm.
and then she'll put the wrong one down, or she'll like get
I
things
see.
mixed up, and
So
that's why I
that
kind of like the post-it note on the couch. But
yeah.
then, um, I don't know.
Yeah.
Um,
So then what you do is you come up with SKUs, and you like you could generate SKUs randomly, right?
yeah,
Or like what you could do is you take the attributes of the couch. So for example, brand, color, purchase date, dimensions, like the length dimension, and that creates a unique identifier, right? And then, but you can also read what like those values are, like RH, Restoration Hardware, 419, April 19th is when it was brought in, dimension 80, right? And so each product has a unique identifier, and that's what goes on the post-it, and then you tag the couch.
yeah,
Because
okay.
I think the problem with the post-it on the look, try it. Maybe I'm wrong, but I think there's a problem with putting the post-it on the couch,
Yeah,
which is that like post-its fall off things, right? Especially if they're being especially like you're cleaning the couch, you have to move that post-it. Where are you going to put the post-it, right? So yeah, I don't know. I could be wrong about that. Then that's a bridge you'll have to cross on your own. One thing I will say too is, so we removed the intake system from the Ivy web ecosystem, but we're actually bringing it back in a new iteration. So,
okay.
and you're going to hear about this tomorrow. We're launching a new feature called Sync. So what happens is you post your listings on Facebook like you do normally, and then we're going to give you a sync button that uses our listing tool to crawl through your Facebook listings and then populate those listings onto the Ivy store. And the benefit in the Ivy store is like, if you don't have a website, then we immediately take all of your Facebook listings and we publish them to our platform. And we're doing a lot of work on Google search so that if someone's looking for a used couch in Minneapolis, they can find your listing and then submit a contact form. That lead goes directly to you. We don't charge a lead fee currently. So it's a way that you can instantly get some visibility on Google for your listings without basically any work, right? All you do is hit sync, and then it shoots it out to the Ivy store. The other thing that we're doing at the Ivy store is we're creating an AI listing We're adding an AI listing creator into the app. So all you have to do is you submit your photos, and it could be old photos of the couch. It could be like photos from the old listing, or it could be like new photos that you've taken. And then we ask you to give us a little bit of information about the couch. What do you know about it? How much did you buy it for? What brand is it? What condition is it in? Just, whatever you know about the couch. But even if you don't know anything about the couch, we'll try to look at the photo and extrapolate, right? So we'll do an image search. We'll try to figure out the brand of the couch, and then we'll create, so the AI will create the listing for you. And the problem that I was talking about earlier, where we had this form, this intake form, and people would have to go and fill out this form each time, right? And that was a lot of work. We'll actually fill out that form for you using AI. So we'll try to figure out the brand, and so all the input is to us is the photo, and then you just type a little bit into the text field, and then we take all of that information and we put it into the form for you.
Okay.
And then it creates the listing for you as well. So we could reintroduce in a much simplified format the operation system, because now we're leveraging AI, and it solves kind of the workload problem that we were encountering earlier.
Do you know if that will also help edit? You know what Lightroom is, right?
Yeah.
Do you know if that AI tool would do what Lightroom does as well? Like help edit lighting in the photos? Or are you guys able to implement that?
We could. I mean, like I'm sure you've seen recently, like the AI image rendering nowadays is a lot
Yep.
better.
Yep.
It's a lot better than it was even a year ago. And they are able to create very realistic settings for photos, and touch up the lighting, etc., change the backgrounds.
Well,
Yeah.
I'm not too worried about changing the background.
Mm-hmm.
I'm in the middle of building a staging area. right now. But
Mhm.
um, no, my brother, he likes to take a lot of photos and he edit photos and stuff. And then he's taken some of my couch photos and then edit them using like Lightroom.
Mhm.
And it's like huge, like a major difference
Mhm.
compared to not edited. And then so I was wondering if you guys were able to implement that, then that would save me some money of having to get a Lightroom subscription
Mhm.
and being able to just upload. If I'm gonna list on your website already and I have to upload a photo,
Mhm.
then I don't know how difficult it will be to just implement it where AI will just kind of edit the lighting as well.
Mhm. Mhm. That's a great idea. I mean, yeah, we're really just peeling back the curtain on what the possibilities are with AI. So to be frank, my team was uh,
I mean,
little.
to be frank with you, I used to be a software engineer, and I don't see this project of implementing AI to edit photos. I don't see that taking longer than 2 hours.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah.
I'm joking.
Yeah,
It would be longer than 2 hours, but
it's there's some lift involved, but like let's say this time last year, right? I proposed some ideas with AI, and my team was like, no, like the boss, he doesn't know what he's talking about. Like, and I'm not an engineer, right? But I'm an avid user of AI, so I kind
you
of have a
used to
sense of
be
like.
a software engineer, weren't you?
No, I mean, I studied computer science in college, but
Okay.
not never. I was always on the business side, right?
Okay.
Um, so, like, I had a sense of like what the capabilities were, and I kind of kept like planting the seed, like, hey guys, I think like we should look at this, like we should evaluate like how we can incorporate AI, like the use cases, et cetera. And they were always a little bit reticent. And then I brought in like one of my friends to have a conversation with them, who's running like an AI travel agency, really smart guy. Uh, Used to work at like some defense company building drones that like shoot people in the air. I don't know. And he gave him kind of like an overview of like some different protocols to look at, and basically simplifying like how like using these AI protocols work nowadays. And yeah, yeah, I literally took like a month where I was like, all right, guys, stop building product and just go play around with this, right? And just like let's think of some simple use cases. And we actually started with the AI listing creation use case, and just see what you can come up with. If nothing comes out of it, it's okay. Like I've chosen to take this month, and we're just going to sacrifice it in the hopes that we find something interesting here. And they came back and they're like, okay, we understand how this works, and it's a lot easier to use than we thought. And so, yeah, I mean, I would love to get to. I think we can get to a point where, like the current process of creating a listing is actually quite involved. Like you have to go clean the couch, like take good photos, like stage it, take good photos, write the description, and then there's all this editing that can be done to the photo as well. You can put your logo or watermark on the photo. You could put the brand name of the couch of the photo. You could draw the dimensions on the photo as well, and then you can edit the photo itself to make it look better. And that entire process of creating the description or creating the listing is something that can be facilitated with AI. So I think that's the direction that we're moving in.
Okay.
But first, we're just starting with the text, right? So you give us the image. Try to give us a good image at first. Tell us what you know about the couch. We'll create the rest of the description for you. And then the most important part about this is, like we have so many listings being put up every day with the listing manager, and this is another thing you should check out, right? You should check out the listing manager for sure,
Yeah.
because like right now you're probably only posting on Facebook, but you could post on Facebook, OfferUp, Craigslist. Eventually you're going to have a website. It's going to help you publish to the website. You can synchronize your listings across all of those platforms, right? So like if you sell something on Facebook, now you can take it down on all the other platforms, and you just click a button and it does it for you instead of having to go each of those other platforms. And if you're not already listing on Google and OfferUp and Craigslist, you should, because that's another 10-20% in revenue at least, right? Just by using the technology, 10-20% revenue at least. Just getting more visibility, more views, more brand awareness, no extra work, right? So I lost my train of thought a little bit, but So the next step is the a. Oh, sorry, I lost my train of thought. What was I talking about? It was like the list right before the listing manager.
It was. I, I I think you were just talking about the listing manager and saying how I should be
Oh,
doing
okay.
that.
Sorry, I got it. Yeah, you should. So you should be using listing. You should be using the listing manager, but we have so many people using it, and the problem, like I can't give you, like, and no one has this data today, right? Is what are the most popular styles of couches in Atlanta? What are the most popular styles of couches in New York City? Like it maybe people have this in a spreadsheet somewhere, but it's not in a structured way. So what they have is like the title of the couch that they sold. They bought it for this price. They sold it for this much, right? And then they could probably go aggregate some sale. Like you could probably crunch the numbers and figure out some sales data, right? It's like average sale price was average purchase price was 200. Average sale price was like 800. They can figure that out. But what about the couch is related to differences in pricing and sales performance, right? So we can do that now because now, like when you submit a couch to us, we can tell you the style is contemporary, the style is mid-century modern, this is a vintage couch, the material is polyester or it's leather, it's from this brand, it's at this price point. So we can take all of this unstructured information about the couch and we can structure it, and then we can run this analysis. So the data analytics that we can provide in the future are going to be much, much greater.
Yeah, I think that's really valuable. Because like you said, I don't think anybody has like a structured place for everything. Because right now, I feel like I have it in my mind. But then if I was to hire like five guys to come do what I'm doing and replace me, then how am I supposed to transfer the data in my mind into their mind?
Mm-hmm.
So I think that would be really valuable to kind of have it. So let's say if somebody was, I'm going to teach people how to source, of course, and then
Mm-hmm.
yeah, like how do they know if this is going to be a good pick for this price range?
Mm-hmm. Exactly. And,
Yeah.
eventually, once we have all the pricing data, we can make buying recommendations as well,
Okay.
right? Because now we see, like, historically what.
Oh, that's a really good idea. Because then
Mhm.
you know how, I mean, we already get notifications of new listings. If you guys implement that, then it could be like a suggestion on what price to buy this new listing at.
Exactly.
Yeah, okay, I see. Yeah, that makes it
Yeah.
really,
Mhm.
really simple for new guys, of course.
Right. Right. And, I think eventually the goal for Ivy is to expand into other categories of furniture as well. So, but that's, and so, today it's like there's an existing market of couch flippers. It's quite small, but I think there are lots of people in America that want opportunity and are willing to work hard. And if we can give them the recipe, we can give them a blueprint, and that is, they just download the app and it gives them the information they need. That could be helpful to them. So hopefully this answers some of your questions about like operations. I think like the tech is going to help you, and it's just a matter. I think it's going to be similar to your experience with like the sourcing app. You're like, why do I? You just don't know. It's like it's a unknown known.
Yeah.
The thing is known by other people. You just don't know yet because you haven't poked into it. But once you start poking into it, you peel back the curtain yourself. You try out the listing manager, you try out the sales tracker, you're going to see that like there have been you're following in the footsteps of others who have gone through the same challenges, and you can just follow those footsteps. Like we've worked with a lot of people on the very same problem that you're running into today, and we've already started to devise some solutions that are going to be helpful to you. The one other thing I would think about, Shu, as you're growing, is that your used couch business is probably going to cap out at around 50 to 60 used couches a month.
Well, I don't think so. I mean,
No, no.
if it's only me doing it,
Yeah.
for sure. But then I'm looking to hire people as soon as possible. Like,
Yeah.
My daughter gets out of school in a couple weeks, and then she already has like 5 of her friends
Mhm.
that wants to come and help. And then I'm gonna be looking for other people. So I definitely don't. I don't know. I think I'm gonna be capped at the space. So
Yeah. So look, there are three constraints in growing a couch flipping business. First is square footage. How many couches can you fit in that space, right? Because you're not drop shipping. It's like whatever you can fit, that's what you have available to sell. Then it's the market around you. How big, how many people can you reach in the immediate vicinity around your business? Because it's probably like a 1 hour radius, no more. Maybe occasionally go out 2-3 hours, but probably you're marketing to the people 1 hour away from you. And then third is the supply. And like you're like realistically, it could be more. Realistically, I think it's going to be around 50, 60 used couches. So this doesn't mean that the cap to your business is 50, 60 couches a month. It means that the cap to your business is 50, 60 used couches that you find on Facebook Marketplace.
okay, yeah,
And even when you start hiring out. And it's simply because you're just not going to find enough deals on Facebook Marketplace immediately around you that you're going to want to buy.
that's true. Okay, I can see that.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's more or less true. Like I've, because look, I've been doing this for 2.5 years, and in that time, oh crap, I have another meeting I got to go to. But let me finish up here. In that time, I've talked to so many people, right? And we've tried doing this ourselves too, scaling up a couch flipping business. How far can we take it? And at a certain point, the operations just start to fall apart when you try to scale a couch flipping business purely on the basis of used inventory that you find on Facebook Marketplace. Because eventually there just aren't enough good deals in your market. And then every single deal takes like 4 or 5 hours to process and sell. So you have to go find it on Facebook. You have to go pick it up, negotiate with the seller. Maybe there's an issue with the couch. Bring it back, clean it, stage it, take photos, list it. This is like 4 or 5 hours of work for every single couch. And then I think you have an advantage. You have a very smart kid that is hardworking and has a great parent that is guiding her. And so like you two seem like you're going to make a really strong team. But for other flippers, when they start hiring in people, they don't have that advantage, And so things like you have a attention to detail and a discipline and a work ethic that serves you really well. Obviously, since you've come so far in such a short time. The people that you tend to bring in afterwards, especially because they're not owners, these are people working for $15, $20 an hour, tend not to have that attention to detail. And things start to slip. And so my prediction is that around 50, 60 used couches a month, you're going to start hitting a ceiling. And so the really important thing is to start banking liquidity. You need to start building a cash reserve in your business, and that's going to allow you to start buying couches at scale. And this is when you start getting into liquidations, buying B-stock truckloads, or buying new couches. And that is the path for scaling. Then you move into a bigger space. You're going to be in 10,000 square feet one day. You're going to have a bay where you can receive truckloads. And you're just getting 20, 30 couches at a time. And your workflow is going to change too, because the work that it takes to process a trailer full of return couches or a trailer of new couches looks different than buying individual couches on Facebook Marketplace. So just keep that in the back of your mind. That's what the progression of a couch flipping business tends to look like.
Okay. Real question though, are you allowing investors?
Sorry?
I said real question, are you allowing investors for Ivlip?
So actually I am thinking about it. We might go do another round sorry, I'm just checking my schedule here. Okay, I'm like way behind for this meeting.
Okay. I'll text you.
Yeah, text me. So I'm thinking in about 2 months I might go do another fundraise and maybe, yeah. So I'm thinking about it. So right now the core focus for us is actually not the software. in terms of like how we scale, it's actually our returns program. So that's where we work with retailers to help them process their returns. So let's say, West Elm sold a couch to a customer in Minneapolis, and that customer wants to return the couch. We will sell that couch on the spot to a flipper who can buy it at 15% of MSRP, and then the flipper goes and removes it from the customer's home, as opposed to, the retailer needing to hire a 3PL to haul away and warehouse that item. And so it saves, the customer on packaging fees, return fees. The retailer saves money on haul away. The flipper gets like new inventory at a great price. We've been piloting it for 3 months. It's working really well. And so, that is a multi-million-dollar business. It's actually $15 billion market. So we think there's ample opportunity there. Anyway, I got to run. Talk to you soon. I'm going to stop the recording.